Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here today. I have a great workshop designed just for you. It's all about iPhone and iPad basics. And I know some of you may have been using your phone for several years and maybe never got a basics class on your device and you're still waiting so that you feel confident to use it. And I know many of you want a basic foundation of how to use your devices so that you feel comfortable and confident to continue to learn independently. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today as we talk about iPhone and iPad basics. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And while I do that, I want to introduce myself. My name is Abby Ritchie. I am the tech guru at the Smarter Service. And every week I'm putting together videos like this just for you so that you have a better understanding of how to use your technology. Now, if at any time you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at thesmarterservice.com. We've got your back and we'll take care of you. Today, we're going to talk about the history of iOS, some overview, a little bit about gestures, those taps, some things that you must know, some tips and tricks, and time permitting, we'll answer your questions. You can always put them down below in the comments or submit them to us at info@thesmarterservice.com. So what I want to know from you is, are you an iOS user? I hope you are if you're here today. Why did you choose this phone? Did someone give it to you? Did your kids make you use it? What your biggest challenge is with using it. I know for a lot of my students, navigating from one app to another, which is called multitasking, can be a huge challenge. For instance, if you are in email and then you want to check your calendar, how do you get there? And those are exactly the kind of things that we cover in our workshops and what I will talk with you today about. And if there's anything else you want to learn, please let me know at any time. But first off, let's do a little bit of a history lesson here. The evolution of the iPhone started back in 2007. And actually, I can remember that. I was really excited. In fact, I was one of those diehard people who waited outside the Apple store in order to get my first iPhone. I absolutely loved it, and I was sold from the very beginning. I want to talk with you now about getting to know your iPhone and your iPad. Now, the iPad and the iPhone, they're pretty similar. One is just bigger than the other one. However, the buttons are pretty much in the same place. And I'm showing you this one right now that has a home button at the bottom because I love the home button. So perhaps you're using an iPhone SE or you're using an iPad with a home button. A lot of my students prefer having a home button over that swipe up navigation, because having that central point of home navigation is so important. So I want to navigate you around the screen and let you know as I hold up my own iPhone that right up top here, we're going to start up top. That's where your FaceTime camera is, right up there. At the top, number 2 is where your notifications and any status like battery, for instance. And I want you to train your eye to go right up there, because if you've inadvertently put your phone in airplane mode, and I can't begin to tell you how many times I've gotten calls from students saying something like, I'm not getting any texts, but my wife is getting texts, or I'm not getting any calls, but my husband's getting calls, and my eye goes right up to the top, and I can tell you've accidentally put yourself in airplane mode. So I want you to keep your eye right up there. We also have a speaker down below, one here and one there, as well as the charging port, which I know you know all about, but I want to make sure, guys, that you're not covering up your speaker somehow by holding it in your hand and covering it up. That's going to make it hard to hear, right? So we have what's called the multi-touch display. And then for some of the older devices, there's a headset jack up there. On the back side, you've got a couple more lenses here. So we've got a camera here. We also have these cameras. And anytime you can take a rear-facing camera photo, this is the rear-facing camera, it's going to be a better, clearer, more sophisticated photo because you've got these various lenses, sometimes 2 or 3 of them. And this one is just one lens. So I just want to tell you, anytime you can use the rear-facing camera, it's going to be a better photo. We also have a sleep wake button That's on the side here. You tap it, it goes to sleep. You tap it again, your device wakes up. You hold it in, and that's when you can power it off. You know where the volume up and down buttons are, and that is navigation around your device. Now let's talk about the touch screen. So there are some gestures both on the iPad and the iPhone. A simple tap, a double tap is going to bring up a menu. When you drag, you're going to go from one screen to the next. You can also pinch to zoom things in and spread to zoom it out. And then anytime you want to rotate something, you can do just that. A lot of the gestures are rather similar to what a right click would be on your mouse. And if you want to lift up your phone and take a picture of this, you can do just that or pause the video. One thing that you really need to know about is your Apple ID. An Apple ID is sort of like the driver's license for your device, which is why I would not encourage you and your spouse to be sharing one Apple ID, as I know some of you are doing, and it's creating a lot of tension. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to have one Apple ID, just like you'd have one driver's license per person. And that Apple ID it's the kind of thing that you really should know along with your password. Why? Because Apple will ask you about it often. When you set up your device, you're going to need to put in your Apple ID, your name, your birthday, your email, all that wonderful stuff. And anytime you need to edit that, maybe you got a new phone number, you're going to go into your Apple ID, sign in and security, and you're going to edit that information. If you've forgotten your password, which definitely happens sometimes, but I want to strongly encourage you to write it down and put it in a safe place, you can go ahead and you can reset your password. Apple does not keep them on file, so Apple's not going to remember what they are for you. Always keep your Apple ID secure. Here are a couple things to know about your devices. First and foremost, settings. Settings is where you're going to head to really customize and personalize your device. So even though you may have received your device and the text size is super small and hard to see, that's just a default setting that Apple set up. I want you to go into your settings and customize your device so it suits your needs. When you go into settings, the first thing I want to point out to you is Wi-Fi. Now, I believe that being able to make a Wi-Fi connection to get on the Wi-Fi, whether you're at home or reset your Wi-Fi, get reconnected to your Wi-Fi, maybe you're at the airport, maybe you're at Starbucks, it's truly a modern day skill that everyone should know how to do, just like in the olden days. Our moms taught us how to turn the oven on and use it and iron a shirt. Nowadays, you got to know how to get on the Wi-Fi, okay? When you go there in the Wi-Fi, it's just like a radio signal. It needs to be adjusted sometimes. Your device will get disconnected to the Wi-Fi from time to time. Also in your settings is the display and brightness. Now, this is where you can crank up the text size, which I encourage you to do because the default is like a 7. It's so hard to see. I want you to crank that up to about 75, 80% of that text size. And while you're at it, you can bold the text. It's going to make the headers bright and big. And you can also go into your settings, adjust sounds and the haptics. The haptics, it's like the little tiny vibration that you might experience when you have your watch on. Haptics are a way for you to feel what's happening on your device without looking at it. You can also go into your settings and head to notifications. Now, this is one area that people really are not aware of. And how they usually refer to notifications is by those annoying pop-ups. That's right. Maybe you're on your device and you get a pop-up. Someone posted a Facebook message or a photo. Maybe you're talking on the phone, you get a pop-up that there's a new news story. Maybe you're on your device and you're typing an email, there's a pop-up that someone just submitted a new Words with Friends game. And so the reason you're getting all these annoying pop-ups that are actually called notifications is that the default for every single app on your device is to have them turned on. That's the default. And so I want you to go into notifications and I want you to toggle off all the ones you don't want to be notified. It doesn't mean you're deleting it. It just means you're not going to get that annoying pop-up. You can even determine whether or not you want the pop-up, or maybe you just want a badge. A badge is like that little red number that's in your email or your text messages. Now, these notifications, it's a personal thing. For me, I probably only have 5 out of 50 turned on, and those 5 might be phone, text message, Uber, because you definitely want to know if Uber's outside, right? And a couple of other things that are particular to me. You set yours based on how you want to be notified. Another thing that I want you to make sure you've got turned on is your emergency SOS, so that if you need to call for emergency, you can call by pressing that side button 5 times. There's also a newer feature within iOS that I want you to know about that doesn't get a lot of press or notoriety, and that is the iOS assistive access. Now, within this, I got to tell you, if your phone is getting too complicated, or it's too complicated for your spouse to use or your parents to use, there's a way to make it so that all you can do and see is just these 5 apps. For instance, phone, camera, messages, music, photos. That's it. And you do that by going into the assistive settings. And you get there by going settings, accessibility, assistive access. Now, this is sort of a tutorial to go through there. You're going to have to click continue. You're going to determine whether or not you want rows, as in the option on the left, or the grid, depending on whatever's easier. The grid makes it actually even larger. And then you're going to choose the apps that you want to have access to. This is a way of making your phone super easy, super simplified, so that you don't get caught up in all those other details. Then you're going to verify your password, and you're going to set a code for turning this on and off, which you're going to want to remember. And then when you want to turn it off, as I've done before, you're going to put in your code and then turn that off. It's really handy for someone where the phone gets too complicated and you want to simplify everything without having to get a new phone. In order to really customize your device, you're going to head to the App Store. The apps are mobile applications, and the App Store is where you get them from. What I always do is I go down to the bottom right and I search for the one I'm looking for. I don't do any window shopping here. I just go down to the bottom right and I type in what it is I'm looking for. Why? Because there's a lot of stuff in there that it's not even on my radar, like a lot of games. And so I always go into the App Store and specifically search for something I'm looking for. I go ahead and I download different apps. And occasionally you need to update these, especially on your iPad. You may need to update them. Anytime you want to delete them, you can. And even if you need to get it back, it will remember you if you download them again. So if you hold your finger on an app, it's like a long press. They start to do the hula and they jiggle, and then you can delete them from there. Here are some popular apps for older adults. I've got a whole list of them there, but just to mention a few: Luminosity, FunBridge, AARP, and Pillboxy. Here are some common accessories. If you're going to be using your iPad for a lot of things and you're going to be typing out emails, I want to encourage you to get an extended keyboard. Also, if you're going to be using it for video chats, get yourself a stand so that you don't have to hold it in your hand. Additionally, if you're going to be listening to music or watching movies, make sure that you get yourself some headphones, whether they're wired or wireless. And it's really handy to have a portable charger in hand to take with you, as well as a screen protector. So put a screen protector on there so you can extend the longevity of your device. If you need any help, you can always head to the Apple Store. Whether or not you have Apple Care, they will help you. And if you need any help, you want to take a class there, you can certainly do that. You can also reach out to us at thesmarterservice.com. Please go ahead and submit any questions down below in this video, or get in touch with us at info@thesmarterservice.com. Guys, I just wanted to thank you for joining me today. It is a pleasure and an honor to be in the presence of lifelong learners like you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you back here next week.